do not confuse this Gonzaga team with an elite national championship team. I'd want nothing to do with Ben Simmons. Don't play the game and just call him Pro Bowlers.
Welcome to the Jboy Show, hosted by Jake Crane.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you guys for joining us on this Tuesday. Go ahead and hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. Got another great show for you planned as we're going through the week. Recording today from where they did the Zapruder film, where they got that footage chopped up. So really excited about being here. Joined us with David Cohn and my brother, Blaine Crane, as usual. I want to start with this Gonzaga team. And Mark Few, let me just off the rip, hell of a coach. What he's done at Gonzaga, rags to riches, started from the bottom, now we're here, true underdog story. However you want to frame it, it's been an unbelievable rise. I know they lost last year to Baylor in the championship game. They got pushed around. But I'm telling you, I'm imploring you, don't buy into the hype. Don't buy into the hype. And there's a couple ways to break this down. A lot of people will look at their in-conference schedule, which I think, is nothing short of a cakewalk, ring around the rosy, however you want to call it. And I know they got some early wins, Texas Tech, UCLA, but basketball, it's different. In football and other sports, teams get better as it goes on, but you don't have as many opportunities. In basketball, you want to be peaking toward the end as you get closer to March. A lot of teams have changed since the beginning of the year. I think if Gonzaga played Texas Tech right now, Texas Tech would beat them by 4 to 5 points, maybe even more. And when I look at this Gonzaga team compared to last year's Gonzaga team, there's no Jalen Suggs. We know Drew Timme with the magical mustache is fantastic, but when he goes against guys that are more physical than he is, or a little bit bulkier than he is, he tends to kind of disappear. I'm not saying Gonzaga is a bad basketball team. They're a really good basketball team. But in this year's field, when I look at it, on a neutral court, which is what the NCAA tournament is, I'm taking Purdue over them. I'm taking Illinois over them. I'm taking Auburn over them. Duke beat them by 3. That was earlier in the year. I know Duke just lost to Virginia, but I'm taking Duke over them. I'm taking Kansas over them. There is 5 to 7 teams at least that I am taking to beat Gonzaga on a neutral court. That's why I will look in this camera and tell you right now, and you know me, we aim small, miss small. I don't think Gonzaga makes it past the Sweet 16. They're going to be a 1 seed. They're going to be a 1 seed because there's nobody in their conference. You saw what they did to BYU. It was an absolute bloodletting. I know Todd Golden's doing a great job at San Francisco, but this isn't the 49ers. The schedule they've played, front heavy, they're going to be able to roll. They're scoring 100 points, 110 points. They're going to run into somebody in that tournament, whether it's an Oklahoma or a Mississippi State, or somebody in that vein that is a very physical team. And Nembhard, who transferred from the SEC, from Florida to Gonzaga, he's a good player, but he's not on the level of what they had. There's no Jalen Suggs on this team. And Chet Holmgren, I get it. He's tall enough to change the light bulbs at Arrowhead. I get it. But he's not a guy, in my opinion, that when it comes down to it, you can put on the block to take some pressure off Drew Timme. They have some young guys that are very talented. Chet is the most talented. He's a unicorn and he's gotten the most hype. I just don't believe this Gonzaga team is built to make a deep run like the others have. That Gonzaga team they had last year was the best one I've ever seen. I think it's the best one they've ever had. And they ran into Baylor, who was the buzzsaw, and they got chewed up. But there are so many teams. Arizona, I'm taking over Gonzaga. UCLA, I know they lost to them earlier. I know UCLA is struggling a little bit, but on a neutral court, I'm taking UCLA over Gonzaga. So I wouldn't believe in the hype. They're going to keep getting hyped up. They're going to be a number 1 seed. They're not going to lose again until they get to the NCAA tournament. But remember, Tuesday, February 8th, 2022, or whatever year it is, Gonzaga's not going to make it past the Sweet 16. And I'm a huge Mark Few fan. Gonzaga's great for the sport. Them being good is great for the sport. But do not confuse this Gonzaga team with an elite national championship team. People will say it's a hot take, but I've been consistent with it the whole year. The whole year. And everybody's going to go back to the beginning of the season say, well, they beat them, barely lost to them, It's different now. Teams grow. It's a chia pet situation. You dunk the teams in the water, they're going to grow a certain way, some faster than the others. And I just don't believe in Gonzaga. I don't think they're frauds, but I don't think they're elite. And they're not going to make it past the Sweet 16. Am I crazy, Cone?
No, you are not. I do agree that they will be a number 1 seed because I don't think the selection committee will take into account their conference competition.
They never do.
But that conference competition is so weak that as far as I'm concerned, they've played 4 meaningful games this year. Okay? Duke, Bama, UCLA, and Texas Tech. In those 4 games, they're 2-2. They're 2-2.
And that's early. Caught them early.
They're 2-2. Yeah, and some of those were neutral site. I think both their losses are at neutral site. They're undefeated at home and away.
But Alabama and Seattle, that's like a home game for Gonzaga. I don't know how many Alabama fans are in Seattle unless they got some stock in Starbucks that I don't know about.
Fair enough. But the point is, they are not the same as the team they had last year, and even that team couldn't win it all. That's what I'm saying. So it is very bold of you to say they won't make it past the Sweet 16. I don't know if I can get on that level.
I'm calling it.
But, but I'm with you.
Well, you talk about teams growing. Right, so the teams that Gonzaga has played, you're saying they're growing. So are we saying Gonzaga has grown? Because
it's hard for me to tell because they haven't played anybody in a month and a half.
So you're saying you would take a UCLA team right now?
I'm taking UCLA
that
neutral.
Gonzaga beat by 20.
No, I'm taking them.
By 20 points.
Gonzaga, I'm just telling you.
And a Texas team they beat who just beat Kansas.
Texas or Texas Tech?
Texas or Texas Tech?
Texas.
They beat both of them, I think.
They beat Texas
I said
by
Texas
12.
Tech. I didn't say.
And they beat Texas Tech.
Right now, I don't think they're beating Texas Tech.
Okay.
Well, that is just
okay. But
that is just why that is. I can see what you're saying because their in conference is terrible.
It's terrible.
It is terrible. But they lost to a Duke team by 3.
You're taking Gonzaga against Texas Tech right now?
I am.
You are.
I am. You have Chet the Unicorn. You play 1 through 5, right?
He can't play against who though? Play the 5 against who?
Unless you have a true big.
That's
Purdue,
what I'm saying. You are going to run into
or in Illinois, not a UCLA. What true big on UCLA?
I'm not saying they're not going to play. UCLA is probably going to be a 3 seed. They're not going to play UCLA in this. What I'm saying is if they run into, and it can even be before the Sweet 16, it's going to happen. And we don't know. With bracketology, it's going to change every week. We have no idea. But they're going to eventually. And they'll play a 16 seed in the first round and destroy them. But in that second round, if they run into an Oklahoma, not Oklahoma, a team, because Groves, he's more of a 5 than Chet is in my opinion. But if they run into a team that has a true big, and they're hitting shots, Nembhard, Jalen Suggs, I believed in him.
Yeah,
I believe
for sure.
Tooth Fairy situation.
For sure.
Santa Claus, I believe. I'll close my eyes, put my head on the pillow, and I know you're going to fly in there and you're going to take this tooth and leave me at least $1 or $1.50 unless you're cheap or the economy's bad. Right now, it's not a great time to be a Tooth Fairy.
Gonzaga is 100% making it to the Sweet 16.
We got to remember what I said. Okay. I don't think they're making it past the Sweet 16.
They wouldn't make it past it.
Okay. What I'm saying is they're going to run.
Who do you think beats Gonzaga right now around the country?
Purdue.
Okay.
Who else?
I think Purdue.
That can't be all.
I think Duke will beat them.
Illinois will beat them.
It would be close. I don't know. I think Auburn can beat them because of Walker Kessler. I'm saying if you have a dominant big who's not just tall and skinny, a dominant big.
So like Chet Holmgren?
Like Kofi from Illinois, or the 2 guys from Purdue, Travion Williams from Purdue. If you have a dominant big, then yeah, but I don't think you're going to outshoot Gonzaga. Right?
They're not shooting as good as they were last year.
Gonzaga's shown you they can win in multiple ways. Right? They go back to the Texas Tech game.
State.
They go back to the Texas Tech game. They won 63-55.
That was what week of the season was that? Was that the first week of the season?
Pepperdine?
Auburn lost to UConn. Auburn played UConn right now. They beat them by 15.
By 15.
They beat them by 10-15.
Okay, Auburn just beat Georgia by 1 on the road. So you're going to say they're going to beat UConn by 15.
They're 22-1. But is the SEC the best league in the conference?
For sure.
They're 10-0 in the SEC.
Okay, so you're saying right now, if UConn and Auburn played, the spread would be Auburn 15.
No, the spread would be Auburn probably 6.
6, yeah.
Probably somewhere in there. But I don't care about what I'm saying is I think Auburn would beat them by 10-15.
I would be surprised if Gonzaga didn't make it to the Elite Eight.
We will find out soon because they will be a 1 seed. We're going to find out.
I can't wait to come
back. What we do know about our games from last night. We had Virginia, Duke, Texas, Kansas. Hey, we're watching hard. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with Virginia, Duke.
Okay.
Because we have a clip. Beekman hits a 3 late, but that's not the story of the game. Wasn't late. What shocked me was the amount, and I even tweeted about this. What shocked me was the amount of easy baskets that Virginia got early. And Virginia's not a powerhouse offensive team. They play basically the triple option style, slow you down. They're the slowest tempo team in the NCAA. They got so many easy baskets early. I think they were up 29-20 at some point. They're gonna grind you out on defense. Duke wasn't hitting. They weren't getting great shots, but Duke really wasn't hitting shots early. They came back late, set up a situation. There was a few questionable calls. There always is. Virginia let them back in. They got to the free throw line. But I want to set up this clip because this, number one, we talk about busted coverage in football. This is a busted coverage in basketball.
Special teams,
play. Right? The third phase, inbounds passes, free throws, stuff that's not on the offensive or defense side, whether it's half-court sets or in transition. Watch Beekman pop open off the double screen and hit a dagger against Duke to beat him. This is a huge win for Virginia. Let's roll the clip. So, they've got 7 seconds. They're going to kick it in. You're going to see the point guard. He's going to work around. They're going to wait till the inbounder comes off the screen, shoots the three, in Cameron Indoor. Coach K. So what Duke to me and Coach K said this. Virginia was the hungrier team.
Yep.
Duke's coming off a game against North Carolina where they blew the doors off.
Yep.
Really emotional. Virginia's not the team you want to see after you're coming off a very emotional game because they're just like talking to a sociopath. They're just dead inside, like the way they play. Like it's not flashy. Mm-hmm. They're going to work their stuff. Coach Bennett does an unbelievable job defensively on what they do. They get into the gaps. But to beat teams like Duke on the road, when you catch them in that kind of lull coming off a big game, sometimes you have to hit the big shot. And look, if you're Virginia, this is a catalyst. This obviously improves your standing in the seeding when it comes down to the bracketology. Blaine, I'll start with you. How shocked were you that Virginia was able to just get
I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. The key for Virginia in this game was holding Duke under 70 points.
That's what they do.
Huge. And you look at this was a Virginia game to the T, right? The pace was so slow. Kept them under 70 points and won the turnover battle. Duke turned it over 15 times to Virginia's 5 times. And you go look at the field goals that got put up in this game. Virginia shot the ball 14 more attempts than Duke.
Yep.
Right?
Which is shocking
to me. Which is huge. You go to this game, this was a Virginia type of game all the way. Because if you would have said in this game that Duke scored under 70 points, I would have liked Virginia in this game.
Yeah. I was surprised. I was surprised because usually teams that are as well coached as a Mike Krzyzewski coached team don't have a lull like this after a big win. Sort of, when Nick Saban goes on the road and beats LSU at LSU and they come back and they play Georgia State, they handle their business. Usually a Mike Krzyzewski-led team, I would expect them to handle their business this late in the season with the tournament right around the corner and it's about to be his last season. So I was a little bit surprised, but I do have one quote here from Virginia coach Tony Bennett when we were talking about the percentages. Yeah. He says, "We were 2 of 12 from 3. I'm just glad we weren't 1 of 12.
Yeah, that's a great quote. Look, if you're going to, that was a great time to hit one. But, Cody, me and you were talking about this last night. Is the ACC as weak as you've ever seen?
Ever. It was the best conference in basketball when I was growing up. Just in the state of North Carolina when I was growing up. Duke, North Carolina, Wake Forest. Chris Paul was on that Wake Forest team. Georgia Tech was nice back in the day. I don't know what's going on.
Look, North Carolina may not make the tournament.
May not.
And you look back in the ACC, and we can go to the past and look through all this, but is there somewhat of a changing of the guard between the ACC and the SEC in college basketball? The Big Ten,
I don't think it's been direct.
Yeah,
right?
And I know it's year to year. And the COVID year, you can throw that out. Mm-hmm. But it's just so surprising to me. And I've watched, Pitt is terrible. I've watched them. Virginia Tech is a good team. You go down the list, there's really, and Duke, you can still call them an elite team. They're still really scary. We know how good that roster is. But it's not like Virginia's having the greatest year of all time.
Sure.
So the depth in the ACC, it's just very surprising to me to see where they are in the state of college basketball because they still have great coaches. And then you have Coach K leaving Duke, which not like the next guy's going to go in there and inherit, the outhouse. But Coach K is tough to replace. That success is tough to replace.
It is weird. College basketball is so different from the other sports in that you have so many blue blood programs who are not traditionally blue blood in any other area. A great one is Gonzaga. We're just talking about them. But you can count now on like a Wichita State to be nice, or an Xavier, teams like that. So it's what makes college basketball so fun. But this gets back to the Gonzaga problem. Who else are they playing week to week? Pepperdine, all these
everybody's grinding.
But from top to bottom, yes, we always used to look at the ACC, right? Just in the state of North Carolina.
Well, you remember the clapback was, the SEC is the best in football, but the ACC is the best in basketball.
Yes, it was the ACC and the Big East, right? Like the whole coast was just really nice. And it hasn't been a transition from the ACC, I don't think, to the SEC, because the Big Ten, even more than the COVID year, the Big Ten was really great in basketball for a long time, beyond just their blue bloods like in Indiana, right? But the SEC clearly is we're looking at the locks right now, said they might get 8 in, and the ACC might get 1 in, and then you look at the Pac, and then you look at the Big 12 as well. From top to bottom, they are being more consistent beyond just like a blue blood like a Kansas or an Arizona or something like that. So it's going to be a fascinating tournament.
Yeah, it is. I still think the ACC will get 3 to 4 in. Duke's going to be in. Yeah, Duke's going to be in. Wake Forest has got a little work to do, but I think they're going to be in.
North Carolina?
North Carolina got a big one against Clemson. This is a game going on the road playing tonight that they need to win. Yeah, you may have a little something saved up there in the account to look back and fall back on. But that wasn't the only great game last night.
No.
We had Texas and Kansas. Kansas coming off the big home win in Fog Allen, kind of getting off the mat after Kentucky pulled their pants down in front of the whole student body. But look, Chris Beard, hell of a coach. Hell of a coach. Leaving Texas Tech to go to his alma mater, I don't blame him. I love the dynamic between Texas and Texas Tech, and guys, Texas is going to the SEC. And Oklahoma, traditionally good basketball team, is going to the SEC too. So it's way more than just football when you look at this conference changing. But this game was back and forth. Texas took a halftime lead in. Texas doesn't play super pretty basketball. I like what Mitchell can do down low. Bishop's a guy that works really hard. They have a few guys that can get hot, but this was just a grinded out game. So Kansas, Timmy Allen, the Utah transfer, is making the mid-range sexy again. Watching him play last night, it's watching an old school basketball player that's going to shoot a bunch of mid-range shots. But Timmy Allen, to set the clip up, we got Texas down 76-75 at home. They just banked in a 3. Okay, the UMass transfer banks in a 3 to pull it to within 1. They get a stop because, Abaji tries to throw a lob that hits the rebound that gets stolen. All the stars aligned for this. And I took Texas money line, so I'm watching last night.
I was going to say, take a victory lap,
Yeah, you thought maybe somebody's breaking.
I thought you were going to hyperventilate.
That's exactly right. I thought I was going to have to put a CPAP machine on and sound like Darth Vader. But let's watch this clip.
Yeah, I know.
This is a great job of moving the ball laterally, letting Timmy Allen get in the gap. Thought Kansas was a little bit soft defensively. Let's run the clip here. All right, you're going to get the high ball screen. It's going to reverse the floor. Coming around on the back screen there on the side, working it down low. In the gap, Timmy Allen, butter me up. Sister Schubert in here. They take the lead. Kansas gets the ball back, goes down. We get a timeout. Bill Self calls a timeout, which sometimes I'm not a huge fan of once you're going. And again, look, it works sometimes. It works, doesn't work other times. It's like the 2-point conversion. Do you go for it at home? Whatever. But Abaji got absolutely locked up on that last possession, and Texas just smothered them. Huge win for Texas. They're ranked 20th. We know they're getting in the tournament. But, Kansas to me, and I'm going to defer to Blaine on this.
Don't believe in them.
Yeah. Blaine's getting,
I don't believe in him.
Yeah, Blaine's going to click his heels twice and get out of Kansas.
I don't believe it.
But what? So, McCormick is beat up. You watch him play, he's limping around the whole time. Not that he played bad, but he continues to get hurt. And without him, Christian Braun, we know is a really good player. But Blaine, is Kansas legit?
No, they're not. I don't think they are. I mean, they go as Abaji goes. When Abaji goes, Kansas wins.
So they're one-trick ponies.
Yeah, they don't play great defense.
Hell of a trick.
They're not. McCormick hasn't been phenomenal whatsoever all year inside. And if Abaji doesn't go, they lose games, right? You saw what happened against Kentucky, which Kentucky could have won that game by 40 if they really wanted to. I mean, you got Lightfoot, who's been there for 10 years, who what you get out of Lightfoot. It's going to play kind of good defense. He'll be okay on the boards. He's not going to go score 50.
He may get hot for a 5-minute
stretch a game, right? I just don't think they have enough offensive guys on that team to win them games.
Well, it's Abaji and Braun.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know if they have
That's all you got.
And Abaji and Braun, McCormick, and Wilson all were in double figures last night.
Yeah, but go look. I mean, it's almost the same thing if you go look at the Duke-Virginia game, right? Kansas with 15 turnovers, all right? And a big thing that came down in this game was free throw shooting.
Yeah.
Texas shot 88% from the line, almost had the same amount of free throws, right? Abaji had 11. Kansas had 15 turnovers, then Texas put up 19 more shots than them.
Look,
you can't do that. You want to talk about a team that's not going to go to the Elite Eight. It's these kids. It's Kansas right here.
So you're telling me, and I love bracketology and get through it.
I do too.
You're telling me that if Kansas, they're going to be a 2 or a 3 seed. They will be. You are saying that Kansas could be a bracket buster.
For sure.
Don't believe in it.
I do not.
You don't?
I do not believe in it. In the words of Ron Burgundy, I do not believe it. If Kansas plays a team that can run and can somewhat rebound, they will get beat.
And look, if McCormick's not healthy, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
They're in big trouble, and you still got a whole season to go. Had another good game last night, Arizona and Arizona State. I say a good game. It was a good game for about a half. I watched this Arizona team, Cone, and we talk about balance, right? Balance keeps you on the beam, regardless of what sport. They've got inside game, they've got outside game, and they have a player from like every continent. Watching them is like watching a NATO meeting. If I told you that I thought Arizona was about as balanced or even as any team in college basketball, I don't know how you can argue against it.
If it's punt or go for me, I'm going for that.
Yeah,
and they're going to be a 1 seed. Look, they're just so complete. Like we say, great teams can win in multiple ways, and I think that they certainly qualify for that, right? So I think they're going to be a 1 seed, and just like, at what point in the tournament will they run into someone who can legitimately beat them? I mean, so much of it is seeding, like we talked about, but I mean, right now they're just playing so well.
They're going to be a 1 seed. UCLA's struggling. It's looking like they're going to win the Pac-12. Right now, it's looking like Auburn is going to be a 1 seed. Arizona is going to be a 1 seed. You kind of look, they've got Purdue on the 1 line right now, and they've got a huge matchup we're going to get into later. Gonzaga is going to be a 1 seed. So you almost feel like you got 3 1 seeds locked up. Arizona's already played UCLA twice.
Yep.
So, the back end of that schedule is not nearly what the front end was.
Yeah.
So it's looking like there's 1 seed up for grabs. And Purdue, it's funny, I think they're ranked 5th or 6th, something like that. But I still think if Kentucky plays Arizona right now, let's play a game of what if. Kentucky plays Arizona, neutral court right now, who you take?
Kentucky.
Man, I have to take Arizona right now.
Really? I'm taking Kentucky.
Yeah.
I'm taking Kentucky. I think Jboy's the difference.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kentucky's just better at what Arizona. They're both almost the same team, but the Shigway takes them over the top.
Yeah, right. And they're both 2 of the most complete teams in basketball. And I like that Arizona can play multiple ways. Yeah. They can play in transition.
Yeah, and
they can slow it down.
Arizona's only going to get better because, it's probably the first year these guys are playing with each other, all from different continents.
Yeah.
Right? So they're only going to get better. That chem's going to keep going.
That's what I'm saying. Listen, basketball's a universal language.
Yeah.
Here's the best example ever of it.
And let's see in the conference championships.
For sure.
Because, that's going to tell a lot. I think that's going to tell us a big story because so much of it is about momentum leading up to that. Football is too. It's always better to lose.
But it's a smaller sample. It's like you don't have as many
It's so much smaller, but it still is better to lose early rather than late. But especially here, it's not even about losing so much as can you get that March momentum?
Yeah, and Arizona has swagger.
Yeah,
they got that edge a little bit. That the guy. Look,
well, for Kentucky, are Wheeler and Ty Washington staying healthy? Like, are they going to play the whole game and stay healthy? Because that's a different situation for me. When they have gone out, those are the games Kentucky has lost. I don't see those same problems for Arizona.
Arizona does have depth.
They're just so complete. But look, let's see. You play your best 5 the entire game.
You look at Arizona right now. What's their weakness? You can't really find one. No, they're good at mostly
the mark of the good team.
They do, but I do think Oscar would be the difference.
I think so. He's cleaning that glass, man.
Whew.
Put him on one of those things you see on the outside of buildings. What do they call those? Not an escalator, but things that are cleaning the windows on.
Crazy people?
Yeah, yeah, I know. Every time I see him, I'm like, good. You got to be making like $500,000. There's no way.
Hanging on by a rope and a little.
You're not putting me on that. You're not putting me in a space shuttle. Meteor's coming to hit the Earth.
You pay me enough.
That's the only way. The only way I'm getting in a space shuttle is if a meteor is coming to hit the planet and I can see it. and you can prove it to me. It's the only way. Like, they're like, oh, well, Elon Musk is going to take everybody tomorrow. I don't care. Go have the time.
No midlife crisis for you?
No. Hell no. Not going up.
Look, the key to that is like you just can't be the first person.
It's like they told me about Australia. I don't go in the woods or the water. I'm not going into space. I'm not doing it. The only way is if we get in an Armageddon situation, and I feel like we have enough scientists that know enough now that we ought to be able to blow it up.
Like Bruce Willis?
Bruce Willis. Just send Bruce Willis.
How about
Will Smith? It'll never get hit. You send Bruce Willis and Will Smith, it'll never get hit.
Or Matt Damon.
We'll be good.
I don't know. I don't trust Matt Damon after
you don't trust Jason Bourne?
Wow. That's a heck of a basketball review. We're going to have a preview, keys to victory at the end here. But first, maybe let's go a little punt or go.
Let's do it.
What do you think here? All right.
Let's do it.
First one, punt or go on this. The Pro Bowl is the worst all-star game in all of sports.
Go. Here's my thoughts on the Pro Bowl. You look at Deion Sanders' quote, talking about we used to take pride in this game. It used to be, we wanted to prove while we were there. Shannon Sharp said it's unwatchable. You might as well not even play the game. That game, and I'm not calling the guys soft out there, but just the way the game, and look, it's been a problem for a while. This isn't a new problem. But if that game was any softer, Mike Lindell would be selling it for $29.99. It was awful. It was awful. It was unwatchable. And if that's going to be it, then you either got one of two options. You turn it into a skills challenge, throw a ball through a tire. Somebody jump over a truck and catch one. At least in the NBA, the dunk contest is cool. I'd rather watch a million three-point contest. And in Major League Baseball, the All-Star Game actually has something, it matters. Who's going to host the World Series? So, and I don't think you can go in the Pro Bowl and say, all right, well, whichever side wins is going to host the Super Bowl. It doesn't work like that. Or because there's not multiple games. There's only one game, and you can't change the city halfway through the year and tell them, hey, surprise, St. Louis, or surprise, New York, whatever. But you either turn it into a skills challenge, or you do what Shannon Sharp says. Don't play the game and just call them Pro Bowlers. Because there's no point in it.
Yeah, I agree.
There's no point in it. And I'm not saying guys shouldn't be going out there hitting quarterbacks after the play, but it should be competitive. It's tackle football. The crazy part is, and we have a clip to show you, see if you can spot the difference. This is this year's Pro Bowl, brought to you by Charmin Ultra. Less is more. Roll the clip. Gonna get a dump down. Oh, you're gonna touch him. You're down. It's like the part on the water boy when he's like, oh, and then they're going to pick the ball up and have time to dust it off and run the other way before we even know what happened. That to me, and I know nobody wants to get hurt, but if you don't want to get hurt, don't play. Don't play. So now, let's look at what the Pro Bowl used to be. Let's roll the clip.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we got a punt. Oh, it's a fake. You want to run a fake punt in the Pro Bowl? Have you ever seen a Mr. Potato Head dropped off the...
Sean Taylor.
Sean Taylor, R.I.P., one of the greatest ever. I mean, and look, I don't want people in the Pro Bowl running around knocking each other out. I mean, Mormon got up. I wonder if they found his legs and arms. It looks like they screwed it back on pretty quick. But it should at least be competitive. It's an honor. It's a reward. The fans, having to watch that game was a complete waste of time. And you can see the difference in it. It's not even close. So, should the Pro Bowl, I'll throw it back on you. Should the Pro Bowl be eliminated?
Well, I love your idea about the skills competition, but they've already had that.
That was so much more entertaining.
That's what I used to watch Dan Marino throw in the skills competition every year, and I can't ever really remember watching the game after that. Now, look, it is the most difficult sport to host a game like this in because it's the most physical, right? I mean, it's easier for guys not to take the NBA All-Star game as serious, but still have it be competitive and fun, right? You can go out there and play basketball, put up a bunch of points, all this. I mean, here, you either need to look like what Sean Taylor's doing there, right? Or you need to be a little softer and not want to get injured, not want to add one extra game to your season.
I think they should just cancel it because it's hard to play football at half speed.
Yeah.
It's hard.
You want to know where they messed this up?
Where?
When they changed it and put it in front of the Super Bowl.
That's what I was going to ask
you. They put it after the Super Bowl.
Is that just because the players in the Super Bowl can't play in it, so you haven't seen Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers?
And there's something about being a player, right? And being out on that field and looking at a guy who just won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. That competitiveness. You're going against a guy who's the best in the league.
Gotcha.
Just won that ring. Let's find out.
Yeah,
right.
No,
Let's find out. I really think that, and kind of what you said earlier, you're more likely. Let me tell you this: Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, and Mike Evans were playing defense. That's a joke. If I'm a GM and I see those guys on the defensive side, I am freaking out. You're more likely to get hurt half-assing it around on the field.
True.
That's
going 100% true.
That is true.
If it doesn't change, take it away.
Just take it away.
Around.
At this point, you already got the skills challenge. That's great. Just take it away or move it after the Super Bowl because that was an absolute.
They moved it in front of the Super Bowl because of the viewings, the ratings, right? They weren't getting people to watch it.
Well, it didn't work.
It didn't work. All right, next punter go. Let's see here. This is the only Super Bowl this Sunday that Matthew Stafford will ever play in. Punter go.
I'm going to punt. I think the Rams are going to win, which means a lot of guys are going to want to stay. I think you're going to see Whitworth retire. I mean, he's been in the league since it was, since Trump owned a team. But when you watch Matt, he's got a lot of years left. And I think Matt enjoys the game. And I think, being in L.A., winning the Super Bowl, a lot of guys, like I said, are going to want to stay. I think Matt's going to play another. I think McVay and them could go on a little bit of a run. Now, I know they traded in the whole kit and caboodle from a draft standpoint, but I think they're going to keep a lot of these guys. I'm going to punt. I think he's going to play in another one. Okay. I think he's probably going to win another one.
Gotcha. Well, they don't have another. What's the stat?
2024 first-round pick until 2024.
Pick, so
that cap
little sense of urgency. Yeah. Little sense of urgency, but we'll see. All right. Let's get into the NBA here a little bit. Punt or go or dish or drive or what have you, James Harden for Ben Simmons would be the worst trade in the history of trades. Jake?
Well, if we're saying for the Sixers, I'm gonna say punt. I think James Harden going to the Sixers gives these Sixers, and you can say, he doesn't play defense or this, that, and the other. But you have Joel Embiid. I know they're talking about moving, Tobias Harris. But if the Sixers get James Harden, now all of a sudden...
Sixers, yeah, but how about Brooklyn?
Well, see, Brooklyn's in trouble right now. Brooklyn's in trouble. And I know everybody's like, oh, the Nets are going to win it. It's going to be fine. KD, that's how important he is. I don't think the Nets play defense. Everybody's saying, oh, well, James Harden's defense is a problem. Kyrie and Kevin Durant got James Harden to go to Brooklyn, and it's been dysfunctional. It's been Brooklyn 911. Mm-hmm. It's been dysfunctional. You've had the situation with Kyrie, which, I'm not going to pine on that. It's his choice. Mm-hmm. But it's like days of our lives. You put James Harden at the Sixers with that team's mentality, I guarantee you he plays about as good as defense as he ever played. I like the Sixers mentality over the Nets mentality. And right now people say, all right, well, the Heat are favored over the Sixers. The Bucks, even a couple more teams. But if they get James Harden, you get another elite scorer that does nothing but help Joel Embiid, who's having an MVP type year. It's the best year he's had. And Ben Simmons, I hate to say it, Shaq said it, he's a cancer to the team. I mean, you got to sign up for chemo. Ben Simmons lost almost $20 million because he wants to get out of Philly because they're just too mean to him. You think you're going to go to Brooklyn and it's just going to be everybody's going, oh, Ben, we're so happy to have you. I would rather have James Harden than Ben Simmons any day of the week. While James Harden may not be the most competitive guy on the planet, I know he's competitive, but he's not as competitive as some of these other guys. He's a hell of a lot more competitive than Ben Simmons, who's sitting his ass out right now. I'd want nothing to do with Ben Simmons. And if I'm the Sixers, I think you're adding an elite scorer, but a guy that takes pressure off of other guys. That's the biggest thing, because the Sixers really don't have that. And I know Blaine's going to disagree with me here.
You feel differently,
don't you? Well, yeah, I do. Well, I will say this. All right, I think James Harden and Joel Embiid is a better fit than Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid.
Okay,
I do.
Okay.
I think
what about on the other end?
They would be more compatible. I'll tell you what. All right.
If the
76ers trade Ben Simmons to the Brooklyn Nets, it'll be the stupidest decision Daryl Morey has ever made in his career. Hold on. In his career. All right. Ben Simmons, 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-Defensive Team in the NBA.
He can't score.
You have Kevin Durant, and the only thing is that Kyrie can only.
Do you have Kevin Durant? Is Kevin Durant going to be healthy?
He's going to be back in 2 weeks, or he's coming back after the All-Star.
Okay.
Right?
Kevin Durant gets hurt a lot.
I would almost rather trade Kyrie,
right?
Because he can't play home.
He can't play home.
Well, that's a different question.
Okay, that's fine. But you don't need someone to score when you have the world's best player on your team in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, who's infant offense.
Whoa. Did you just say the world's best player?
Yeah, and Kevin Durant right now.
Better than LeBron?
You were a LeBron guy. You're the biggest.
Greatest player. Greatest player right now, greatest player of all time. Different.
Wait. So you're taking Kevin Durant over LeBron
right now? Yes. LeBron. How old is LeBron?
This is crazy.
LeBron in his prime.
Cone will echo me. All you do is just gas up LeBron.
That's a fact.
About $4 a gallon every day, just gassing them up. But I don't think you're right in saying that James Harden and Joel Embiid are a better fit because they complement each other better. Mm-hmm. Ben Simmons can score sometimes when he's driving, but do you want a guy that's not playing right now? Not because he's hurt, because his feelings are hurt?
I don't care what your feelings are. I care about what you do on the court, buddy. And
he's not on
you know what Ben Simmons can do on the court? He can take away any 1 through 3, right? A Booker, a Klay Thompson. If you're the Sixers, the last thing I'm doing is trading Ben Simmons to anybody in the Eastern Conference. If I'm going to trade
James Harden,
you're going out west. Or you're going to a team that I'm not going to have to worry about in the playoffs. I'm not taking a James Harden and Joel Embiid team to beat a Ben Simmons, a Kyrie Irving, a Kevin Durant team. I refuse to take that.
I just will not put Ben Simmons in the same category as Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant.
I won't either.
Every time the moment gets right,
it's defense.
He doesn't show up.
Ben Simmons is
one of the best
defensive players in the NBA. You're not asking Ben Simmons to go score a bunch of points. You're asking Ben Simmons, go guard him. Go guard him.
Look, I don't want that.
I guarantee you.
I don't want that type attitude that Ben Simmons has on my team. I think the Sixers would have more of an effect on James Harden the way he plays than the Nets.
James Harden the way he plays. I mean, he's missed 26 games.
We'll make it a full
he's
segment.
Out of shape. He's not even close to the same scoring clip as he used to.
If he goes to the Sixers.
That's because
by the way, the trade deadline is Thursday at 3 Eastern, so they better make a decision quick. And McCollum went to the Pelicans. Shout out Pelicans.
All right.
Disaster though.
The Dennis Allen is the new head coach at the Saints, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, but Sean Payton still got a movie made about him, home team. So here's my question.
Kevin James is the new Saints coach?
Kevin James as Sean Payton is the worst casting decision in the history of narrative film. Punt or go?
Oh, I am going. I think Kevin James is hilarious. King of Queens, dynamite. Every movie he's in with Adam Sandler, I think it's funny.
Paul Blart?
I think Paul Blart, funny. It's a funny movie. I just can't. I don't see where they made this decision. They look nothing alike. They are nothing alike. I think it's one of the worst casting decisions since they let Oh Boy from Twilight be Batman. And I haven't even seen the movie. Already don't believe it. Don't believe it.
No, I agree.
But Kevin James as Sean Payton. There's nobody else out there?
That's what I said.
There's nobody else out there.
Who would you want to get?
Man.
This is such a, the thing about this is such an odd casting.
Like, well, I'd rather be Sean Penn than Kevin
Brad
James.
Pitt. The Moneyball look with the visor. That's Sean Payton.
I don't mind that.
That's actually not a bad call.
What about Jason Bateman?
What about Hader from Napoleon Dynamite? They can make him look a little bit similar. Be better than Kevin James.
I don't know. I think Jason Bateman would be great.
Jason Bateman would be great in anything.
It's just weird. All right, genius. Last one. Punt or go. The most popular baby name in Cincinnati 9 months from this Sunday will be Joe.
Oh, win or lose, I'm going for sure. Yeah. Oh, it's already happening. When's Valentine's Day? The day after the Super Bowl?
The day after.
Oh, there'll be kids named Burrow. You know that there'll be Joeys, there'll be Joes. It'll be the most popular name, not only in Cincinnati, but look, Joe Burrow's he's just trending in his own direction. I mean, we're talking about megastar status because he's not done. The Bengals are going to, even after they lose this Super Bowl, the Bengals are going to supplant, help the roster around him, get him some more support. But it'll be Joey. It'll be Joey. It'll be like that and all the kangaroo children around it. But no, that was a good one. That was a good one.
Good.
I like the Kevin James one, even though I don't like the casting. That was a terrible decision. But you want to go? We going keys to victory?
Let's go keys to victory. We got some ball games tonight.
College basketball is just the gift that keeps on giving. I wake up one morning, I go down the stairs, there's presents on the tree, breakfast is made. I wake up the next morning, I go downstairs, there's more presents under the tree. It's like Christmas. And I love the NCAA tournament. I love it.
It stands
I love
alone.
it. Look at me. I love it. Anyways, all right, let's go keys to victory.
Okay, Wisconsin, Michigan State.
Well, Wisconsin has to score points.
Have to make
the key to victory here is it's the 3-point line. Because look, Michigan State, when I watch them play, and they're very different home and away. We know Tom Izzo has talented players. They went to Rutgers against Ron Harper and them and got absolutely destroyed. absolutely destroyed. I know. I took Michigan State minus 1.5.
Yeah.
Now look, Purdue went into Rutgers, even though that game was different. It came down to a last-second shot. Rutgers they walked in the club, slapped them, and threw them out. But Wisconsin is a mystery to me. They're a mystery to me. But what I have learned is Johnny Davis, who's a Player of the Year candidate, is either clicking or he's not. There's a lot of comparability between Johnny Davis and Agbaji to me.
Yeah.
I think Agbaji may be more consistent than him. But if Johnny Davis isn't hitting, it all falls on Brad Davison. Look, Chucky Hepburn, I know he's a good player, but down low, Wisconsin, I just don't trust him.
I wouldn't either.
Crowell, literally the adoption papers were signed by Kofi Cogburn. And look, I know Kofi is going to adopt a lot of people this season. He's huge. He's same size as Shaq, basically. One of the best big men in the country. But Wisconsin, typically, if they don't have a dominant big man, what can that big man go out and do? He can bring you out to the perimeter and hit a three. They haven't had that. It all falls on Johnny Davis and Brad Davison. And I love Brad Davison.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a hell of a coach or a PE teacher, one of the two. But if they're not hitting and you're going to Michigan State team that just got embarrassed against Rutgers, Wisconsin has to hit threes. But Johnny Davis can't take 50 shots.
Yeah.
He can't take 50 shots and score 20 points and have, half the shots be bad shots. But Wisconsin is a mystery to me. The jury's still out. They're not normal Wisconsin to me, if that makes sense.
Auburn goes to Arkansas. Tell me about it.
I mean, the key is withstanding the punch if you're Auburn. Now, if you're looking for an overall key to the game, I think it's going to be fouls. And Auburn without Zep Jasper, who's their best on-ball defender, maybe the best on-ball defender in the SEC. Arkansas hadn't hosted a number one team since UNLV in the 80s or early 90s or whenever it was. Bud Walton's a tough place to play, one of the toughest places to play in the country. Musselman has got them all fired up. Arkansas thinks won 8 in a row. Is it against the best teams in the world? No, but they've got momentum, looking like they're going to be a 6, 7 seed in the tournament. And look, Auburn's due to drop one. This is one, it came out, Auburn is a 2-point favorite, and we're going to make our picks later. But I was surprised that Auburn was a favorite in this game without Zep. Wendell's going to have to play a lot of minutes. Alan Flanagan has just struggled. And if they're going to let him bring the ball up the court, if I'm Musselman, I would trap him more than a Gucci Man video. So when you look at this game, if Auburn's able to withstand the punch early, because it's going to be rocking, Bud Walton is going to be rocking, and give themselves a chance late, I think they'll play better than they did against Georgia. But you want to know a real key to victory if you're Auburn?
Let
Jabari shoot the ball.
Over under 7 shots for him.
Over. Bruce Pearl all week. Every time in practice, I'm dead ass serious. Every time in practice that Jabari was open, or at least a little bit open, and didn't get the ball, I'd call timeout and start running him.
Yeah.
Like, all right, this one's suicide. Like, let me tell you a story about the number one pick. Listen, Wendell, work your pick and roll with Walker. Let's get the lob, let's get the kick out. But if Jabari is on the elbow and there's just a human being on him, outside of a giraffe guarding him or the snuffleupagus, get him the ball. And you know what? If you don't win, at least your best player took the most shots.
Yeah.
But there's no way in hell that you go on the road and Jabari gets 7 shots.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's shooting them from the hot dog stand.
Yeah, I agree.
There's an absolute fist fight in the Big Ten tonight. Purdue and Illinois.
This one is not for the faint of heart. You've got Zach Edey and Trevion Williams going up against Kofi Cogburn. I love this matchup. It's like a great running team versus a great run-stopping team. It's going to be awfully physical down low. So what's the key to victory? The trenches. Who can control it? What I'm interested to see is, I don't know, because Trevion Williams has been coming off the bench for Purdue, and I like that role with him. I am more interested not in the Zach Edey and Kofi Cogburn matchup, which is two just giants and a movable force, connects with
Pacific Rim.
unstoppable it's Pacific Rim. It's the plot to Pacific Rim. But I want to see how Trevion Williams does when Omar Payne has to come in for Illinois, because I think he could slice him up. Jaden Ivey, we talk about the number one pick, could be Jabari. Banchero disappeared last night. Coach K said he needed to shoot more. He got enough touches. But Jaden Ivey is hitting at a crazy clip. I think he's shooting 70% off catch and shoot situations and 75% coming off screens. That's ridiculous. Now, Purdue defensively, even with those big guys down low, because look, Frazier can shoot the lights out. All right, they've got 2 guys. Illinois' got 2 guys that can really shoot the lights out, and Curbelo is the puppet master when he gets in. So I know this game is at Purdue, correct?
Yes.
So it's going to be an electric atmosphere. But watching these guys down low, this is must-see basketball. It's going to be the best game of the night, and it's a huge game in the Big Ten because remember, Purdue lost a couple games in the Big Ten coming out of the gate, including, I believe, I'm going to check this. Did they beat Illinois at?
Yeah, 96-88.
Yes.
96-88. Did Cogburn play in that game?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. This is one, because look, Purdue, they play so well offensively, but I do question the defense. Remember a couple shows ago, I talked about how they reminded me of Iowa, like top clip in scoring, got big guys. Iowa had Garza, but defensively they're like 80, 85th. You watch an Ohio State game, they let them come back. But this is going to be a backroom brawl, and I'm so here for it.
Must-see TV.
Kofi did play in that game. He had played 22 minutes, had 10 points.
How many rebounds?
5.
Wow.
Need more.
Wow.
Look,
Need more.
And it wasn't because the ball was going in.
I mean, you got two guys, you have two giant people you're throwing at Kofi Coburn in the whole game. I mean,
Well, see, to me, I'm telling you, when Omar Payne comes in, that's when I want to see how.
Yeah, Plummer. I mean, Alfonso Plummer's got to be shooting. Alfonso's got to be
Plummer. I mean,
shoot.
Look, you better bring the umbrella. It's raining.
Yeah, that kid is not thinking. He's pulling.
No, he's pulling.
Yeah.
Like it's like a skeet shoot. Pull.
I want to throw one extra one in there real quick because I haven't seen these teams play a lot, so I'm excited to watch this tonight. Marquette, UConn.
Man, Shaka Smart's done about as good a job as anybody. And a lot of people, including myself, when you went to Texas and kind of saw how that went down, but Marquette is such a better fit for Shaka. I think he's done an incredible job. Lewis is an unbelievable player. But when I look at UConn, Sanogo down low, they've got options. They've played a tough schedule. They both have. Marquette's schedule is brutal as well. I like UConn because it's at home. And I think this is going to come down to transition. I think the key to victory is transition. Who can be better in transition? Because if you look at the pace of play of both of these teams, they are somewhat malleable. But if they start running and Marquette's able to take Sanogo out of it a little bit in transition, I think you'll see a closer game, but I do like UConn. I think they're a 6-point favorite.
Yeah, UConn's a 6-point favorite. I'm telling you, this Marquette team is
sneaky.
Man.
They're sneaky.
I watched them against Villanova.
They know who they are.
Yeah, I watched them. I mean, 1 through 5, they're pretty solid. I mean, Justin Lewis is a great player.
He's really good.
And when they're hitting shots, I mean, they're a dangerous team. They really are. But
and Shaka, look, they play hard, man.
Yeah, they do. You can tell, man. And they have an identity, which is
And UConn, look, they're a good team. Do I think UConn is a second weekend team? No. But Sanogo can be forceful down low. That's what I'm interested to see. Because you look at Villanova, and they both played Villanova. Villanova's scrappy. I love Gillespie, Archie Diacono, but Villanova really doesn't have a big guy down there. So that's the difference, I think. But if you can get him in transition, I think that's going to play right into Marquette's hands.
Let's get to some picks.
Let's do it. Woo! All right, I want to go last this time. Blaine, you want to go first?
I would love to go first. All right, I'm tell you this. I saw this one. I was extremely excited about. Kentucky coming off in a big win against a South Carolina team that's coming off a huge loss.
They've been
just got murdered. Kentucky's 11-point favorite. I just don't see South Carolina.
Jboy should murder.
Where's that game?
It's at South Carolina.
Right. I don't care if they play them on Jupiter.
I could care less. But the South Carolina is not really a good basketball team, especially against a team like Kentucky, who's right now only getting better and better and better. My second bet, I'm taking the over, right, in the Illinois-Purdue game. These teams scored 96 to 88, me, and the over is 146.
I'm not a mathematician.
So I'm going to take that over. Points.
Was that an overtime game? Was that first time?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and check. But I mean, Purdue's not the best defensive team. Illinois is not either. These teams kind of match up extremely well. I believe both these teams will be putting the ball into the basket at whatever clip they want to. I like that over.
I like it. So you're going Kentucky minus 11.
11 and over 146.
146. Okay.
146.
What do you got?
All right, we'll pull for that over.
Yes, sir.
Should be a fist fight. Look, I want North Carolina plus 1.5 at Clemson.
I like this pick.
Okay? After getting beat up by Duke, I think they go on the road and they beat a Clemson team that's not great, and you're going to give me a 1.5. Let's get after it, okay? Also, I'm going to take Indiana money line at Northwestern. So I've got two road teams today. Look, Indiana's right there in the Big Ten. They really are. I mean, I think, Purdue and Illinois are starting to kind of pull away a little bit, but still, I think Indiana can make some noise in the tournament.
Yeah, I like those picks. I like that Indiana pick too. Taking them straight up, what are they, +1?
They were +1 even,
Yeah, take a money line. Here's what I got tonight. Everybody listen up. You go into your parents' bedroom, you lift up the mattress, you take that $20, and you put it on A&M money line at home against LSU. LSU, like I said, they pulled a Drew Barrymore. I think they've lost 7 of 8. They just woke up and forgot one day. And I know they've had injuries, but everybody's had injuries. Watching the way they play, the effort is what I question. And that shocks me with Will Wade. Because say what you want about Will Wade. I know they got him on wiretap for the FBI, making strong-ass offers out there and everything like that.
Yep.
But they typically play really hard. Tari Eason, I think he's a really good player. Pinson, I know he's been beat up. Gaines has been getting better. But A&M really believes, and A&M is coming off a bad home loss against Missouri. And Buzz Williams in that group, I think they're going to be 13 flavors of pissed. So I'm going to take A&M money line against LSU. I think the struggle continues for LSU, even though still today in bracketology, LSU is a 7 seed.
Wow.
They started out 15-2. They've Thelma Louise off the cliff, driving Miss Daisy, whatever you want to call it. Then my other one, we're going to go back to the Big Ten. Give me the Wisconsin, Michigan State under 139.
Okay.
I think it's going to be ugly. Wisconsin struggled to score. I mean, they had a football score at halftime last week. It was unbelievable. It's how many first downs they gave up. So I'm going A&M money line at home against LSU. I'm going Wisconsin, Michigan State under 139. I think it's going to be a little bit ugly. So I really don't need Johnny Davis and Brad Davison to go off. Michigan State, I think they're going to get theirs at home. But look, that's our story, and we're sticking to it. And I appreciate it, guys. Great show. Appreciate you guys checking us out. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends. Tell all your friends to make sure they subscribe to the Jboy Show YouTube channel. And like Kansas's toughness, we're going. Gone.